I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes.
Yeah.
But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time, sometimes maybe more than you were.
Right.
I can't fault her for what she was given. But, look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
So, with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat.
The arena lights hadn't even cooled after Team USA's closed-door scrimmage when the whispers began sharp. Panicked, venom-laced. Caitlin Clark, the most polarizing, electrifying force women's basketball had seen in a decade, had been benched. Not rested, not managed, benched. And the shock hit the Olympic training facility like a detonated grenade. Phones buzzed. Staff members froze mid-step. Players exchanged looks that said everything nobody dared speak out loud. But the moment the news reached Cheryl Miller, WNBA legend, Olympic icon, and the one person Team USA officials never wanted to provoke the entire balance of power inside. USA basketball shifted. Cheryl didn't walk into the training complex. She stormed in like she owned every brick of it, carrying decades of dominance in her voice and fire in her eyes. Reporters outside didn't know what was happening yet, but they could feel the tremor. Inside, officials scrambled, some pretending to review scouting sheets, others suddenly fascinated by their coffee cups. They knew what this was about. They knew they'd crossed a line.
And for her to be around her, just talk about the type of person she is and how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative.
And they knew Cheryl Miller wasn't here for conversation. She was here for confrontation. Caitlin sat in the corner. Shoulders tight, eyes burning with humiliation she was trying to hide, while Angel Reese watched from across the gym, arms crossed. Expression unreadable, tension thick enough to slice. Paige Buchers whispered something to Elia Boston, both of them wide-eyed. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved, because everyone felt it coming. And when Cheryl finally opened her mouth, the entire gym fell silent as the real explosion began. Long before this eruption inside the Team USA facility. The tensions that led to Caitlin Clark's humiliating benching were already quietly poisoning the program from the inside. The roots reached years back, long before Caitlin ever stepped into the spotlight. Long before Angel Reese became her fiercest on-court rival. Long before Paige Buchers reclaimed her crown. And long before the new era of women's basketball became a battlefield of egos, politics, legacy, and fear. And at the center of it all, whether she wanted to be or not, was Cheryl Miller the standard of greatness? The entire system still pretended to honor while routinely ignoring everything she stood for. Cheryl,
you recently coached the WNBA All-Star game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching!
Cheryl had watched this new generation rise with pride, but also with a sharp, trained eye that caught every red flag. She saw Caitlin Clark become a phenomenon the league wasn't ready for, a player whose fame grew faster than the infrastructure built to contain it. And she knew exactly how USA basketball reacted to players they couldn't control. They didn't challenge them publicly. They clipped them quietly. They undermined them slowly. They reminded them who held the power. Cheryl had lived that era. She had felt those hands try to control her legacy. And she had spent her entire career refusing to bend.
That if I'm insecure, if I've got my own mental issues going on, who do I talk to? I don't regret being born when I was.
Right.
I'm in the right place at the right time. It's just been fascinating to watch these young ladies come up and now take the baton and take it to a different level.
She handled it in a graceful way as well. Some of your peers, they will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Caitlin's rise reignited old shadows Cheryl thought she had left behind. The fan hysteria, the media obsession, the resentment from traditionalists who felt threatened by popularity they didn't create, the whispers inside boardrooms about protecting the brand, about maintaining order, about balancing the narrative. Cheryl heard those whispers again, now directed at Caitlin. They didn't want the rookie superstar to overshadow Team USA's hierarchy.
Graceful way as well.
They didn't want a fan
some of your
favorite
peers,
with millions of loyal
they
supporters
will
to
recognize,
disrupt the structure built on quiet
her game,
obedience.
but they won't recognize her
And
impact.
the more viral Caitlin
How
became,
can you separate the two? It's kind of
You know
the more
what?
uncomfortable
And
the officials grew.
and Jack, you're
Cheryl saw
absolutely right.
every
And I
crack
was like,
forming,
come
but
on, you
Caitlin
big
herself
dummies.
didn't nod at first. She only felt the
Is she
pressure
getting
tightening
hyped?
around
Yes.
her like a rope someone
but she
kept
was in the
pulling.
backyard. She was
Every
putting in the same
practice was
time,
watched
sometimes
more
maybe more than
harshly.
you were.
Every missed
I
shot
can't
was
fault her
dissected.
for what
Every
she
interaction
was given,
recorded,
but
and while
look,
Angel
as
Reese
much as she
thrived in
was
the
given,
attention of rivalry,
you can't tell me if
Caitlin
that door
felt
would
the
have
weight
swung
of
the other
being
way, but
expected
she
to
didn't
carry the
live up
sport,
to the
but
hype.
not
Right.
overshadow
Come on,
the
folks still
establishment.
waiting for the fall.
And that
Exactly.
impossible
Exactly.
contradiction
Yeah.
aided her.
So,
The
with
veterans
that being
weren't blind
said,
either.
you
Kelsey
big
Plum
dummies,
had
you
pulled
getting
Caitlin
paid
aside
now.
weeks earlier and murmured, "They love you,"
everybody
until
now
they
has an
don't.
opportunity to pull up their chair
Diana
and have a
Taurasi
seat.
observed her with that calculating veteran stare back mixed with caution. Brina Stewart kept things professional but distant. The rookies battled their nerves around Caitlin, unsure whether to idolize her or avoid being associated with her rising controversy. Every dynamic felt like a storm cloud hovering above her head, but the deepest emotional wound came from something Caitlin never admitted publicly. She grew up idolizing. Team USA wearing that jersey was supposed to be the dream, the pinnacle, the validation of everything she fought for. Instead, it became a place where she felt constantly judged, constantly monitored, constantly questioned. And she felt alone. Truly alone. That was when Cheryl Miller began watching her more closely. Not as a legend, not as an authority figure, as someone who remembered exactly what it felt like to be resented for being too good, too influential, too impossible to silence. And after one brutal practice where officials criticized Caitlin's decision-making, despite her dominating the scrimmage, Cheryl pulled her aside in the hallway. "You know why they're on you?" Cheryl said quietly. Caitlin swallowed. "Because I messed up rotations." Cheryl shook her head slowly. "Because you're changing the sport faster than they can control it." Caitlin didn't respond. Her throat tightened. She wanted to deny it, but the truth stung too sharply to pretend otherwise. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was dealing with pressure of her own. The media framed every move she made around Caitlin. Fans divided into armies. Social platforms exploded with comparisons. Angel felt both empowered by the rivalry and exhausted by the responsibility of carrying an image she didn't fully control. Paige Buchers battled her own insecurity, watching Caitlin and Angel dominate headlines while she silently tried to prove she still belonged at the top. Alia Boston worried how all this tension would affect the locker room chemistry heading into the Olympics. Behind the scenes, Team USA officials held private meetings about managing personalities, but their decisions only added fuel to the fire. They needed the ratings Caitlin brought, but not the power. They needed Angel's personality, but not her influence. They wanted Paige's clean image, but not her voice. They wanted Aaliyah's professionalism, but not her opinions. The system didn't want stars, it wanted chess. Pieces. Then came the tipping point. Caitlin had outperformed every guard in the last two scrimmages. She ran the offense with precision, spacing, vision, and fire. But instead of praise, officials complained she was freelancing too much, drawing too much media noise and distorting the team dynamic. And when she showed up early the next morning ready to practice, she found out through a trainer, not even a coach, that she wouldn't be starting. She wouldn't even be the first off the bench. She was being demoted, Publicly, humiliation crashed into her chest. Like a weight dropped from the rafters. Players froze. Paige looked furious. Angel raised her eyebrows. Aaliyah stepped forward like she wanted to intervene. But before anyone could say a word, the doors opened, and Cheryl Miller stepped inside. Her face set with the expression everyone recognized from highlight reels. The look she had right before she destroyed an opponent, because the officials had crossed a line. And Cheryl Miller had no intention of letting them get away with it. The air inside the gym tightened the moment Cheryl Miller's shadow cut across the polished floor. She didn't need a whistle, a clipboard, or a title to command the room. Her presence alone swallowed every voice. Every heartbeat, every excuse Team USA officials had rehearsed in their heads. And Caitlin Clark, still reeling from the sting of being benched, felt the gravity shift around her like someone had just ripped open the ceiling and let a thunderstorm pour in. Officials exchanged looks, panicked. Defensive, guilty, but nobody spoke first. They didn't have to. Cheryl's footsteps echoed like a countdown. The players stood frozen, caught between loyalty and protocol, their eyes darting from Cheryl to Caitlin to the nervous cluster of staff members, trying to maintain the illusion of authority. Finally, Managing Director Jennifer Retsotti stepped forward, wearing the strained smile of someone who knew she was about to get steamrolled, but had no choice except to pretend she wasn't terrified. Cheryl, she began carefully. We're in the middle of reorganizing rotations for today's session. Cheryl raised a single hand and the sentence died midair. Reorganizing, she repeated, her voice calm but sharp enough to slice concrete. Is that the new word for punishing your best performing guard because you're scared of her spotlight? The room crackled. Paige Buchers inhaled sharply. Angel Reese bit her lip, trying not to smirk. Aaliyah Boston glanced down at the floor like she was witnessing divine judgment. Retsotti stiffened. No one is being punished. We're balancing roles. Cheryl stepped closer. Interesting. And when exactly did balancing roles start, meaning embarrassing a rookie in front of the entire roster? After she just carried half your scrimmage last night. Silence. Not even the air conditioning dared whisper. Caitlin's cheeks burned, her stomach twisting, every insecurity screaming at once. But underneath her humiliation, something else flickered hunger. A coach finally spoke up. A junior assistant with more confidence than wisdom. Caitlin's style doesn't always fit what we're trying to run. Cheryl turned her head slowly, like a predator acknowledging a mouse that had squeaked. Her style, she said, voice dropping. You mean vision? Range, playmaking IQ. The same style you begged her to bring when you recruited her? Or the style you're scared will make certain veterans obsolete? The assistant's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Cheryl walked past him like he didn't exist and stopped directly in front of Caitlin. She placed a hand on her shoulder, not gentle, but grounding. Protective. Raise your head, she murmured. Caitlin obeyed. Good, Cheryl said. Because whatever decision they made today, it wasn't about basketball. A ripple of tension spread across the room. Everyone knew it was true, but nobody had dared say it aloud until now. Retsotti swallowed hard. Cheryl, this is internal strategy. You're not part of the staff. You don't have authority here. Cheryl smiled, a slow, dangerous smile that sent chills creeping through the gym. I don't need authority, she replied. I have influence. And more importantly, I have a memory. A long one. And I remember every time. Team USA politics tried to bury a star because they couldn't control her narrative. Every player felt that line, because every player knew someone who had been swallowed. The officials looked cornered, but before they could regroup, Cheryl delivered the blow none of them saw coming. You benched Caitlin Clark because you can't bench the backlash, she said, voice booming across the gym like a courtroom verdict. You're not protecting the team, you're protecting your egos. And you think humiliating the most watched player in women's basketball will remind everyone who runs this program. But all you did was expose your insecurity. The players froze. This. This was no longer a confrontation. This was an indictment. Angel Reese suddenly stepped forward, surprising everyone, including herself. "Look, y'all know I'm competitive as hell with Caitlin," she said, gesturing between them. "But even I know this is messed up. We all do. She played her ass off yesterday. Benching her doesn't make sense." The gym shook with the shock of hearing Angel defend Caitlin. Paige stepped next to her. "If this is about rotations, then fine, explain them." "But you didn't. You blindsided her," Aaliyah Boston nodded. "We're supposed to be teammates, not props in some political stunt." With each voice added, the officials shrank further, like walls closing in, but Cheryl wasn't done. "Oh, and let's talk about fan engagement," she continued, pacing slowly. "You think the world won't notice Caitlin Clark is suddenly riding the bench? You think the media won't ask questions? You think social platforms won't erupt? You think ESPN won't smell blood?" Someone muttered, "This isn't a media issue." Cheryl snapped her attention toward him. "Everything is a media issue, especially when you bench the biggest name in basketball 6 months before the Olympics." Phones around the gym buzzed with notifications. Cheryl raised an eyebrow, and it looks like the news leaked already. Gasps. Players scrambled for their phones. A headline glowed on Paige's screen. "Breaking: Caitlin Clark benched at Team USA scrimmage. Internal conflicts." Rumored, Caitlin felt her heart slam against her ribs. Angel's jaw dropped. "Damn, y'all didn't waste time." The officials looked horrified. "This wasn't supposed to get out yet." Cheryl chuckled darkly. "Congratulations. You tried to control the story, and now the story is controlling you." One official snapped. "We're trying to maintain fairness." "Fairness?" Cheryl echoed. "Then bench the players who underperformed yesterday. Bench the ones who took plays off. Bench the ones who mailed it in." "But you didn't. You benched the one player you're scared of losing control over." Ritsotti clenched her jaw. "This is our program, not yours." Cheryl stepped right into her space. "It used to be mine, and it damn well will be again if you keep turning it into a circus of politics and ego." Every player held their breath. Caitlin felt something rising inside her: courage, clarity, fire. For the first time, she wondered if she didn't have to stay silent. If maybe, just maybe, she had support far greater than she realized. Cheryl turned slightly, still glaring at the officials. "Now you're going to do one of two things. Fix this quietly, or watch the entire world burn you alive when they realize what you did." Ritsotti snapped back. "Or what, Cheryl? What exactly do you think you can do?" Cheryl didn't respond immediately. She let the silence grow, beating it, stretching it, dominating it. Then she delivered the line that shattered the room. "I don't think I can do anything. I know I can." Everyone stared. Cheryl pointed toward the gym. Entrance dot, and in walked someone no one expected. Figure whose involvement would change everything. A figure whose presence meant this wasn't a simple argument anymore. This was war. And the moment everyone recognized who had just arrived, the entire gym erupted into chaos. The doors slammed open with a force that made every head in the gym snap around. For a split second, nobody processed what they were seeing. Then the shock rippled through the room like an electrical surge. Sharp, instant, undeniable. Kathy Engelbert. One bug commissioner. The one person with enough power to match Cheryl Miller's influence, and the last person team. USA officials wanted to see walk into this mess. Her heels clicked against the hardwood, echoing like a countdown to disaster. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't speaking. She wasn't even blinking. She walked in with the cold authority of someone who already knew everything and was ready to pick apart every lie told in the last hour. Officials instantly straightened. Players gasped. Angel whispered, "Oh, this is about to get ugly." Paige's jaw dropped open. Aaliyah crossed her arms, bracing herself for impact. Caitlin felt her stomach plummet, because this wasn't just a conflict anymore. This was a collision of the sport's biggest forces. And Cheryl Miller didn't even turn to look. She just smirked. Kathy stopped in the center of the gym. "I heard there was drama," she said slowly. "Imagine my surprise." Rizzati tried to regain control, clearing her throat. "Kathy, this is a Team USA matter." Kathy raised a hand. It became more than that the minute someone leaked Caitlin's benching to the press. That single sentence detonated the room. Officials looked around in panic. Players began murmuring. Caitlin felt her heart pound so hard it hurt. Cheryl folded her arms. "Good. Then we're all on the same page." Kathy turned to Caitlin first directly, intentionally. "Are you okay?" Caitlin's throat closed. The question was so human, so gentle that it almost broke her. I'm fine," she whispered. Cheryl stepped in. "No, she's not." "You humiliated her," Rizzati snapped. "We adjusted rotations." "And you adjusted them straight into the gutter," Cheryl shot back. "You think these players are blind?" Kathy's eyes narrowed. "Who made the decision to bench Clark?" 3 coaches exchanged frightened glances. Nobody wanted to speak. Finally, one muttered, "We felt she needed to be humbled." Gasps exploded. Angel actually put a hand over her mouth. They said humbled. Oh, hell no. Paige shook her head in disbelief. "This is insane." Kathy stared at the coach. Humbled. She's the rookie every network is fighting to broadcast. She's filling arenas. She's dragging the sport into a new era. You think humiliating her makes you powerful? It makes you obsolete. The coach stammered. We didn't mean." Cheryl cut him off. "You meant exactly what you did." Kathy stepped closer. "You benched Caitlin Clark for politics, not performance." The gym fell silent, suffocating with tension. The officials looked cornered, desperate, exposed. That's when Cheryl struck again. "You didn't bench her because she struggled," she said, voice steady and deadly. "You benched her because you're terrified she's bigger than your system," Rizzati snapped. "This is not your era anymore, Cheryl. You don't run this program." Cheryl stepped forward, inches from her face. "Then you should start acting like you do. Because right now, this program is a joke." Kathy didn't stop her. In fact, she folded her arms as if encouraging the confrontation. "There's another issue," Kathy said. "The leak. Someone inside this facility tipped off the media less than 10 minutes after the rotation sheet was printed." Paige froze. Angel tensed. Aaliyah frowned. Caitlin's heart pounded. Kathy scanned the room. Someone wanted this to go public, fast. The accusation hung like smoke. The assistant coach who spoke earlier clenched his jaw. "This is ridiculous," Cheryl cut in. "Really, because the timing is convenient. You bench her and the world finds out before she even warms up." Kathy added, "Who benefits from making Caitlin look unstable before Olympic roster decisions." The coaches stiffened. Angel muttered, "Damn." "So they wanted her benched and wanted the world to know she got benched." Paige whispered, "This is sabotage." Caitlin felt sick. Sabotage wasn't a word she ever wanted associated with her Olympic dream. Kathy finally turned toward the players. "Has anyone here felt the staff treating Caitlin differently?" Angel didn't hesitate. "Yes, Paige. Absolutely, Aliyah. It's been obvious." The officials looked betrayed. "You're throwing us under the bus." Angel pointed at Caitlin. "Nah, y'all threw her under the bus." Cheryl stepped beside Kathy. A rare alliance. An unstoppable one. "You know what I think?" Cheryl said. "I think the officials want a roster that makes them comfortable, not a roster that wins. Roster that makes them comfortable, not a roster that wins." Kathy didn't deny it. She let the accusation hang. Then she delivered the blow. "If this continues, I will personally open an investigation." The entire gym inhaled sharply. "You can't do that." One official shouted. Kathy smiled coldly. "I can do anything that protects this league." Caitlin felt her knees weaken. She never wanted this level of chaos, not for herself, not for the team. But she also felt a rush of relief. Someone believed her. Someone fought for her, but the moment wasn't over. Because suddenly, everyone's phone vibrated at once. A breaking alert. Angel grabbed hers, eyes widening. "Oh my God. You're kidding," Paige gasped. "No way." Aaliyah stepped backward, stunned. Caitlyn's single quotes' ears rang as she read the headline. Anonymous source claims Caitlyn Clark clashed with teammates. Team USA benching due to locker room conflict. Her breath stopped. "They're blaming the players now." Angel shouted, "Us." Paige's voice shook with rage. "This is character assassination." Kathy's face hardened. "Whoever leaked that wants this team divided before we even take the court." Cheryl clenched her fists. And we all know exactly who benefits from pitting rookies against veterans. Caitlyn felt her chest tighten. She could handle pressure. She could handle criticism, but lies. Lies that painted her as toxic. She felt the world closing in. That's when Kathy looked directly at the officials. "You want to explain this?" she demanded. They froze, guilt etched across their faces. Cheryl's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You didn't just cross a line. You set fire to it?" Rizzati finally snapped, losing composure. "She's too big for this roster, too loud, too distracting. Everywhere she goes, chaos follows. We need stability on a media circus." And that was her mistake, because every player heard the truth they weren't scared of. Caitlyn failing. They were scared of Caitlyn succeeding. Kathy exhaled slowly. "Thank you for your honesty. Now everyone knows the truth." The players shifted, no longer confused, no longer neutral. They were angry. Caitlyn's eyes burned. Then Cheryl pointed at the officials. "You benched the wrong player." Kathy nodded. "And now? Someone else is getting benched." Everyone leaned in. Officials stiffened. The room pulsed with anticipation. "Effective immediately," Kathy began. "Team USA will suspend," but before she could finish, another phone alert exploded across the gym. This one, worse. Far worse. Because the new headline wasn't about Caitlyn, it was about Cheryl breaking USA. Basketball accuses Cheryl Miller of interfering with team operations. Investigation launched. Cheryl's face darkened. The players gasped. Angel whispered, "They're going after her now." Kathy stared at her screen in disbelief. The officials finally smirked, and Caitlyn felt the floor tilt beneath her feet, because this wasn't politics anymore. This was a full-scale war in someone inside USA. Basketball had just escalated it to the point of no return. The gym went silent, so silent it felt like the entire building had stopped breathing. Cheryl Miller stared at the glowing headline on her phone, her jaw tightening, her eyes narrowing into a glare so sharp it could have shattered glass. For a moment, she didn't move. She didn't blink. She didn't speak. She simply absorbed the strike a hit, meant not for Caitlyn, not for the players, but for her. A message from the system. "Stay in your place." Angel Reese broke the silence first. "They're really trying to flip this on you. After everything they just pulled?" Paige rubbed her forehead. "This is insane. They're attacking everyone except the people actually causing the problems." Leah Boston whispered, "This is getting dangerous." Kathy Engelbert lowered her phone slowly. This leak didn't come from the media. It came from inside USA. Basketball. Someone in this building is running an active smear campaign. The officials looked rattled, some defensive, some frightened, some suspiciously calm. Cheryl finally lifted her head, her voice low and lethal. "So that's how you want to play it." Rizzati stepped forward, far too quickly. "Cheryl, you barged into a private session. You undermined staff. This whole mess spiraled because of you. We're simply protecting the program." Cheryl laughed under her breath, a humorless, bitter sound. "Protecting it. You're destroying it to protect your pride." A murmur rippled through the players. Caitlyn watched, heart pounding, torn between fear and fury. She wanted to defend Cheryl. She wanted to scream. But all she could do was stare at the headline that blamed the one person who had stood up for her. Kathy turned to the officials, eyes blazing. "You leaked it, didn't you? You manipulated the situation to paint Cheryl as the aggressor." The assistant coach, the same one who'd tried to defend the benching, lifted his chin. Maybe outside interference is the problem. Oh, shut up, Angel snapped. Y'all are doing everything except coaching, Paige added. You leaked her name because you're scared she's exposing you. The assistant raised his voice, desperate. She's dividing the team. Cheryl stepped closer, towering over him without even trying. No, I'm the only one stopping you from dividing them. The tension spiked hot, crackling, electric. Caitlin felt it like heat against her skin. Then another phone buzz. Angel froze. Ah, guys. She held up her screen, a viral clip. Already posted. Already exploding, Caitlin's stomach dropped. It was a secretly recorded video taken inside the gym in the clip. A staff member whispered to another, "If Clark gets too big, we'll reel her in. The vets won't say anything," the second voice answered. "And if someone speaks up, we'll leak it. Simple." The video ended abruptly, shaky, grainy, but damning. Paige's eyes widened. That's them. That's literally them. Angel's voice trembled with anger. "This just went public," Leah whispered. "We're done. The whole world's watching." Caitlin felt her breath catch. Someone in this facility recorded the truth. Someone wanted it exposed. Someone wasn't loyal to Team USA politics anymore. Kathy exhaled, stunned. This changes everything. Risati Peo looked like she was about to faint. That's taken out of context. Cheryl snapped. There is no context that saves you. The assistant coach shouted, panicked. "We don't know who recorded that. It could be fake." Kathy turned slowly. "It's your voice." He froze. Players shifted away from the officials, physically distancing themselves. Lines drawn clearly across the floor. Caitlin felt something shift inside her, something heavy and painful turning into something sharp and new. She wasn't just being targeted. She wasn't imagining it. She wasn't overreacting. They were afraid of her, afraid of what she represented, afraid of the power she held, and they were willing to destroy anyone who protected her. Cheryl stepped in front of Caitlin, shielding her like a wall. "You came for her. Then you came for me. But now the truth is out." Risati pointed at Cheryl, voice shaking. "You won't walk away from this clean." Cheryl pointed right back. "Neither will you." Kathy raised her voice. "Enough. This program is collapsing in real time. We need a statement now." But before anyone could react, another notification hit every phone simultaneously. A massive one. One that detonated the room in an instant. An official statement from Team USA's verified account. Posted seconds ago. Everyone read it at once. Effective immediately. Team USA is placing Cheryl Miller under investigation for unauthorized interference. Further internal matters will remain confidential at this time. Caitlin's stomach turned. Angel swore under her breath. Paige slammed her phone onto a bench. Aaliyah covered her face with her hands. Kathy shut her eyes, devastated. "They blindsided me too." Cheryl's jaw clenched, but her eyes burned with a fury none of them had ever seen before. "They leaked it," she said quietly. "They leaked it before we could even move." Caitlin felt her heart break. "They're trying to bury everything you said, everything you did for me, and make you the villain." Cheryl placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Let them try." Retsodi straightened suddenly like she knew something they didn't. "Actually," she said, voice regaining confidence, "this investigation doesn't stop with Cheryl." Angel stepped forward. "What the hell does that mean?" Ritsati smirked. "It means someone else is about to get dragged into this." Caitlin felt something cold crawl up her spine. Ritsati turned to her directly, and with chilling calm, she said, "Caitlin Clark, you're next." The room erupted. Players shouted. Kathy screamed. Cheryl lunged forward. But Caitlin stood frozen as everything she feared suddenly came true. Caitlin felt the world tilt sharp, disorienting, like the floor had dissolved beneath her feet. The words "you're next" kept echoing inside her skull long after they were spoken. Each repetition slamming into her chest like a fresh blow. Angel stared in disbelief. Paige actually stepped in front of Caitlin as if ready to physically shield her. Aaliyah's breath caught in her throat. Kathy Engelbert froze mid-stride. And Cheryl Miller. Cheryl's entire expression changed. She didn't look angry anymore. She looked dangerous. Rizzotti kept talking, feeding the fire. "You don't get to destabilize this team and walk away untouched," she said, her voice rising with misguided confidence. "We have multiple reports claiming Caitlin has been disruptive, resistant to coaching, and negatively impacting team chemistry." Angel nearly exploded. "What chemistry? Y'all destroyed the chemistry. What chemistry? Y'all destroyed the chemistry. Caitlin hasn't done anything except show up and play harder than every guard in this gym." Paige snapped. Aaliyah stepped forward, calm but fierce. "If she's disruptive, then I guess competing at a high level is a crime now." But Rizzotti ignored them. Her eyes stayed locked on Caitlin, like she'd finally found the perfect scapegoat to save her. Own collapsing authority. Kathy pointed a finger at the officials. "You will not lay this on her. I won't allow it." "Oh, but you can't stop it." The assistant coach cut in, voice trembling with adrenaline. "The paperwork is already in motion. And once it's processed, Caitlin will be reviewed for disciplinary action." Caitlin's heart crashed. Disciplinary action. During Olympic selection, her dream, her lifelong dream, was suddenly dangling by a thread. Angel screamed, "This is a setup." Paige yelled, "This is retaliation." Aaliyah shouted, "This is corruption." But Cheryl raised a hand and the entire gym fell silent again. She stepped forward slowly, every move deliberate. "So that's where we are now," she said softly. "You're willing to destroy your own program to keep control, or maintaining order," Rizzotti insisted. "No," Cheryl replied. "You're terrified." The assistant coach scoffed. "Terrified of what?" Cheryl didn't blink. "Of Caitlin becoming the face of the Olympics. Of losing your grip. Of the spotlight shifting to the one player you can't micromanage." The officials stiffened. Because she was right. She was painfully, devastatingly right. Kathy spoke up again. "This investigation will ruin you. The league won't protect you from the backlash this time." But Rizzotti smiled a smile that said she had one more move left. "It won't matter. Because we're not basing the action on media leaks. We're basing it on a formal complaint." Everyone froze. "What complaint?" Kathy demanded. The assistant lifted a tablet. "Filed this morning." Cheryl's voice dropped. "By who?" He turned the screen around. Caitlin's stomach dropped as she read the name. A name she trusted. A name she admired. A name she never expected to betray her. Diana Taurasi. The gym erupted into chaos. "Angel, no freaking way, nitrogen monoxide way." "Paige, this has to be fake." "Aaliyah, why would she do that?" Caitlin stumbled backward, feeling the world collapse. Kathy ripped the tablet from the assistant's hands. "This better be forged." But the signature was real. The timestamp was current. The complaint was devastating. Accusations of attitude issues, accusations of not respecting veterans, accusations of causing tension, accusations of prioritizing personal brand over team integrity. Caitlin couldn't breathe. She said all that. "Diana, we don't know the circumstances." Kathy tried. This could be manipulated, but Rizzotti cut her off. "It's valid. And it's enough to justify reviewing Caitlin's position on the roster." That was it. A line. The moment that broke something deep inside Caitlin Clark, she backed away, gripping the edge of a bench for balance. Her vision blurred. Her chest tightened. She had trained for years, sacrificed everything, carried the sport through storms. And now she was being torn apart by the very system she wanted to represent. Cheryl rushed to her side. "Caitlin, look at me." Caitlin's voice cracked. "Why her? Why would Diana do that?" Cheryl's jaw tightened. Because someone pushed her. Someone fed her a story. Someone used her reputation to legitimize this attack. Kathy nodded slowly. This wasn't Diana's idea. Someone manipulated this. Someone wanted this complaint filed before she even understood what she was signing. Caitlin wiped her eyes, furious. They're trying to destroy me. Cheryl grabbed her shoulders. No, they're trying to break you. Angel stormed toward the officials. I swear if she gets pulled from the roster. Angel Page snapped. Not right now. Aaliyah stepped between them, keeping the players from exploding into a full-on brawl. But the officials weren't done. Risati spoke quietly to quietly. The roster committee meets tonight. If the complaint stands, Caitlin may not wear the Team USA jersey this summer. Caitlin felt her chest shatter. Angel screamed, "Are you kidding me?" Paige kicked a ball across the gym. Aaliyah punched a padded column. Kathy stepped forward like she was ready to tear the officials apart. But Cheryl just stared at Rizzotti. Then she stepped forward slowly, deliberately until she was inches from her face. "You think this is over?" she whispered. "You think this is the end of the story?" Rizzotti didn't answer. Cheryl leaned closer. "You just made the biggest mistake in the history of Team USA." The officials flinched because Cheryl wasn't angry anymore. She was calm. To calm. The kind of calm that comes before a storm that destroys everything in its path. And Caitlin, trembling, broken, heart in pieces, managed to whisper, "What happens now?" Cheryl turned toward her, eyes burning with fire. "Now," she said, "we stop playing their game." A beat, a breath, a silence stretching long and terrifying. Then Cheryl added one last line that made every official in the room go pale. "Because I know exactly who orchestrated this entire thing." And Caitlin felt the truth creeping toward her like a cold shadow. Someone powerful, someone calculated, someone close. And when Cheryl finally spoke the name, the entire world of women's basketball would never be the same. Again, the truth didn't just burn, it ignited the entire foundation of Team USA. And now, with the corruption exposed, the leaks unraveling, and the orchestrator finally revealed, nothing about this scandal can stay buried. Not anymore. Not after what they did to Caitlin Clark. Not after the way they tried to silence Cheryl Miller. Not after they weaponized Diana Taurasi's name. Not after they tried to fracture a roster built on decades of sacrifice, legacy, and greatness. This moment isn't just a plot twist, it's a breaking point. And the world is already watching. Times are flooding, timelines demanding answers. Former legends are stepping forward, refusing to stay silent. Rookie players, veterans, analysts, coaches, everyone is picking a side. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about power, manipulation, control, and the future of the sport itself. Team USA tried to protect its image by burying its brightest star. Instead, they set off the biggest controversy in WNBA history, and now the only thing that matters is what happens next. Because this story isn't finished. The investigation isn't over. The roster isn't finalized. The truth hasn't fully surfaced. The people responsible haven't been held accountable. And Caitlin Clark's Olympic future hangs in the balance not because of her performance, but because of a system terrified of her potential. So if you've been watching this unfold, if you've felt the shock, the anger, the heartbreak, don't look away now. Do not let this moment fade. Share it, expose it, talk about it. Demand transparency. Demand accountability. Demand the truth. Because the only way this kind of corruption survives is when people stay silent. And the only way it ends is when the world refuses to let it continue. This is bigger than Team USA, bigger than the WNBA, bigger than any rivalry. This is the moment the entire basketball world chooses what it stands for, and the real fight, it's just beginning. And the real fight, it's just beginning.